As I tried to put this together, I had to think, where do I even start, because it's such a big story. And you always start at the beginning, but there's just not enough time for everything. So I did what I did, and hopefully it comes out and makes sense to you. So there's a thought I want you to hold in mind by a gentleman by the name of Mr. Anderson Cooper, who works for CNN and does work for 60 Minutes. He was on the program for the 5th anniversary of Katrina, a documentary by Spike Lee. And he was sitting down in a very docile position, with his head down, and he said, "I have been many places in the world, Afghanistan, Iraq, and Katrina was bad, but I've never been any place like Haiti." And I just broke down. Because someone else knew and understood I had never been in a place like Haiti. There's no place like it. The devastation, the death. And I have to give you this to understand what the children are up against, because we can feed them and clothe them, but yet you have to understand what they're up against. So it starts like this. Yes, I had dinner with Sue, and Sue and I, we got together, and that was it. The fires were lit, and we were on our way, because I needed Haiti more than Haiti needed me. I had reached my point in my career, as some folks say, I'd become so good it was just almost second nature. I needed something else. I needed some more juice, and Haiti was my juice. So we committed, and we had opposition. Some folks said that we shouldn't do this, that it wasn't the right thing to do. Send a video cam down there and let Miss Marie Blaze send it back. Sue and I were on the phone saying, they don't understand us. We might be a little different. So we were going to go to Haiti anyway. So we decided to commit, and we got Dr. Marie Gladden to help me with the language barrier that we were going to face. And the story goes like this. As Sue said, Dr. Gladden decided, for whatever reason, at the 11th hour to not show. And Sue called me, sure enough, and said, well, she's not going to go. You're going to be by yourself. And I told Sue, it doesn't make any difference. As I said, I gave her my word. And I was sitting there and said, well, now what are you going to do? You're going to go down there, you don't speak any French. Well, bonjour, that's about it. Oui, oui. That wasn't going to cut it, but I'm gone. And 10 minutes later, Dr. Gladden comes marching in. She said I couldn't stay away. Have a seat. And the first thing I learned was international travel by plane is interesting, because I've traveled internationally by ship, but never by plane. So it's much more intense. And we arrive in Haiti. And I have been many places that are warm. I've been to Bermuda, Jamaica, but never have I felt heat like there is in Haiti. You step off the plane, the heat and humidity embraces you and whispers in your ear, I am the heat and humidity. I'm going to kiss your skin and make you as uncomfortable as you've never felt before for your entire time here. And it did. And then they put you into a hot bus to cart you over to what you would call an airport, but it's not an airport, it's a hangar. Does anybody know what an airplane hangar is? It's got that galvanized stuff outside. And as soon as you go in, again, you realize that you're out of your element, because you don't speak the language. You are totally helpless because you don't speak the language. So Dr. Gladden, bless her heart, was our interpreter. And you begin to perspire in such a fashion that you cannot imagine. I've never felt that kind of heat and humidity before. Now bear in mind, one of the reasons for that is because 85% of the country has no electricity, so everything is run by diesel generators. Factor in heat, factor in the fact that it's in the valley, factor in that when you're running these generators, you're generating heat and all kinds of bad stuff. And I'll get to that in just a moment. So we finally get our bags, and we finally start making our way to the automobile. And I am not a fearful person. But that was the only time that I was slightly uncomfortable because you were touched quite a bit. Not by one person, but by several persons. And they're touching you to get your attention, to receive some money, you know, and everybody's pawing at you. So you don't want to overreact and get yourself in real trouble. And as Marie Blaze said, just keep moving. That was the most uncomfortable feeling that I can remember. I was never afraid of anything. But, you know, again, you don't want to overreact. So we finally get into the automobile, and the trip, because the roads are such a mess, is so exhausting. By the time you get there, you are just truly exhausted. And our first stop, of course, is the orphanage. And as soon as you get there, you notice things, the garbage, the debris. I'm just going to tell you like it is, the open sores, the dead carcasses of the animals, the bathing of people in the street, bathing in the street, relieving themselves in the street. It was horrifying, I kid you not. So we get to the orphanage, and there's a huge gate, because it's a huge place, so to speak, and it has razor wire all around it. And inside of the orphanage, you saw the pictures are the children. Some of them sleeping on the floor, some of them walking around with a missing foot, a missing leg, unclothed because of the lack of the things that they need, being bathed in a white metal pan and then hosed down with a hose. And I thought how degrading that was, but I forgot, better to be hosed down than to be dirty. You didn't see all the pictures, but the orphanage itself this is before the repairs. It was a shambles. There was a huge crack in the wall. Someone had stole the generator. There weren't enough beds. It was just a mess. And so it just breaks your heart right then and right there. So we spent that time with the children. And what happens is, if you tell the truth, you're in shock. I was in shock. My brain could not process the stench that passes through your nostrils and locks in. And I'll tell you, any time that you can summons or recall a stench, that's a stench that you'll never forget. And my eyes became full. I had seen enough for one day, to be quite honest with you. I had seen enough death, enough crushed buildings, just enough misery to last me a complete lifetime. So we left and went to the house. I just needed a break, and we sat down, and of course we began to have dialogue about the next day and what we were going to do, and the children and so forth and so on. And I think I was emailing Sue about 2:30 in the morning because the heat reminded you that you were not going to be comfortable. And yes, they do rise very early in the morning. Just trying to keep our minds on the children was very difficult because of what's going on. We were escorted by an armed guard the whole time we were there. And you forget that you should not wander off. And I'm forgetful like that. And they reminded me many times, Mister, come back here. Don't go wandering off. The fact that the orphanage is under armed guard is something else that we just couldn't fantasize. At night, when we slept, the guard slept outside on what you call a big patio, because everything has to be secure. So the next day we get up, and I want to go straight back to the orphanage, of course. And that's where you may have seen the pictures. We passed out the toys. That was the best day, when we passed out the toys. And it was almost like normal for a minute. They did everything kids would do at Christmas, you know, when they open up their toys and go through them all, and then the next day they're all torn up, broken. They were acting just like kids, and that was a great day. And we decided to take a tour of the city, which I really wasn't up to, but I knew that I had to do this. Because what happens is, we can support this orphanage and take care of these children, but these children are going to have to grow up. and they won't be able to stay there forever. They won't. And what do we do then? Because outside of that gate is a place that there are no words for it. As Anderson Cooper said, nothing like it in the world. So we toured the city. We went to see the palace, and you saw it, maybe you didn't. It was flat and crumbled, the 10 cities, and the hundreds, well, thousands of outhouses that are used. It's just so hard for you to fan just to get it inside of it. This is how people are living, you know. I had enough of that, and when we went back to the orphanage and spent some more time with the children. The thing I can say most about my trip, it changed my life forever. I'm so glad that you sent me. Because I believe, I say again, where there are two or more of us in agreement, we can make a difference. And I know my eyes are on the vision that when I see the House of Special Needs, number 2 and number 3, my eyes are on the vision when I see us going to Katrina and taking one family and putting them back into a house. My eyes are on the vision of seeing going to the Gulf and touching the life down there. We have the power to get one person a job and put them back into the mainstream. My eyes are on the vision of Africa, where we go and feed those children. My eyes are on the vision of one person in New Haven who's out of work and down and out. We can get that person one job. So this is just the beginning of everything. Excuse me. That my eyes are on the vision of. This was very hard for me, but I would do it again and again and again. You have the power to change the world. You have the power. My eyes are on the vision with my co-worker who said we can house our young single moms that work for us, who can't get out from under the roof of their parents because they're just not quite making enough. We can buy that apartment building, Mrs. Fenwick, and put our young women in there and let them pay rent and have them become independent. My eyes are on the vision. We're going back to Haiti. We know how to do it now.